Alyssa Mercante is always desperate for attention, and she is constantly talking about Gamergate 2, even though she claims she doesn't care about the culture war. And after celebrating a website being shut down, she is now claiming that you can keep your website up because it all helps her. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, recently we saw the Kotaku detected website being taken down for about 2 days, and a lot of people thought maybe Wix was not going to put it back up. Maybe it was, going to stay down forever, but they actually did, put it back up, and Alyssa and, of course, Nick Calandra before that were praising how it was taken down. Like, Alyssa had said, oops, website not detected. Huge shout out to Nick, who reached out to Wix about this site and constantly followed up. Clearly, they agree that he was engaging in targeted harassment, among other things, regarding Smash JT. This is a great precedent, a great sign that there are people and places on the internet who know targeted harassment and cyberbullying when they see it. So Alyssa was initially furious at this list because it talks about people who Kotaku are affiliated with and people who work at Kotaku and have defended the site. And of course, she was praising the fact that, it got taken down because, of course, her name was slapped all over it. She definitely did not want to be on this list, even though lists apparently to her can be harmless, because she had followed all of this up with creating a list of her own. She had made a list of content creators who have dared to talk about her, and I am column 5. I've got 7 videos on the list, so thank you to Alyssa for all of this attention. And then, now that the site is put back up, people like her are coping and seething. Of course, she had said, you can keep your website, it helps me, even though just days ago she was praising the deplatforming and she was praising the fact that Wix had taken this site down. And you also now have Nick Calandra basically saying, this is all below me. I'm better than all of this drama. I'm not going to engage in it anymore. He said, I am not spending another week tweeting about this baloney. I have actual work to do. No, the only reason why you're not going to spend another week tweeting about it is because you are seething right now that you did not get your way. I will be actively working to take this list down this week, and once again, I suggest you do the same. I'm done messing around with these guys. So he's straight up admitting that he is not going to stop. He's going to keep trying to deplatforming his critics. It's what he wants to do. He does not care about all of the backlash that could come from it. And I think that this is all hilarious because when Alyssa saw the list, she got furious and she made a list of her own because, of course, rules for thee but not for me. But she doesn't realize that this list does not help her because it just brings more people to the understanding that Kotaku is not a good website, that people like Alyssa are straight up activists and they don't care about the video game industry. And she, of course, made a list of her own filled with content creators like me, Atreus, Will of the Fans, Reality Base, Geeks and Gamers, Smash JT, Hypnotic, tons of different people. But this list is actually a positive list because it also brings attention to their activism. So either way, she's kind of in a lose-lose situation. She has now made herself look bad because she created a list after, of course, complaining about a different person's list simply because it didn't fit her narrative and it painted her in a negative light. And then she followed it up with a list that she says is perfectly fine. I mean, I love exposing these people for the hypocrites that they are. Like recently, I talked in a video about Kotaku and Stellar Blade. Claire Jackson here had previously talked about how Baldur's Gate 3 was so fantastic and inclusive, and they were, so happy. Everybody at Kotaku was so happy that they put sex scenes into this. And Claire specifically was talking about how there were sex speedrunners for Baldur's Gate 3. But of course, recently, Shift Up added new outfits to Stellar Blade, and she was whining and complaining about it. That video will be linked down below. But it says, oh, hey, there's cute new attire for even Stellar Blade thanks to the new version. And yup, adults on the internet are reacting in a totally healthy, productive, and mature way about it. Well, no, that's actually not effing true at all. well. As expected, some people are thrilled to see more digital nudity, while others are stamping their feet, upset that Shift Up hasn't given them what they wanted, which is free speech and digital tits. Y'all know porn exists, right? And it just proves the massive hypocrisy behind basically everybody at Kotaku, because even though it is not Alyssa, it's still someone affiliated with Alyssa who works at the outlet that she works at, and she seems to back all of these stances. I mean, Kotaku has been going on a rampage, along with other sites like The Gamer and IGN, about the culture war, and you know, specifically for a time it was about Stellar Blade, and you can see it clear as day here. They hate anybody who is on the other side of the culture war, who they deem to be their enemies, because of course if you're not with them, you're completely against them, even though we, people like me, would love to sit down and have a genuine conversation with Alyssa, you know, very calm, cool, collected, but she blocks people and then insults them, and then, as you can see, puts them on lists simply for making videos about her. Every video I've made about her, I've said, hey, I would have a conversation with her, and she's clearly watching them. She's clearly watching all of those videos, because some of the videos on that list had timestamps, even though she claims she didn't watch a single one. It's just hilarious, though, the way that activists like her are making themselves look worse. I mean, we are talking about a time where trust in journalism, and in this case gaming journalism specifically, is at an all-time low, and that's what the first Gamergate was about: ethics in journalism. It wasn't some massive harassment campaign, but people like Alyssa are also trying to paint Gamergate 2 as some massive harassment campaign, even though that's not the case. Clearly there are sides, and she happens to be on the other side, so there's going to be times where we're going to criticize her, and she's going to criticize content creators like me. The problem, though, is that she isn't actually criticizing, she's blocking and then complaining behind a block and a privated account, which doesn't actually spark a conversation. But people like her don't want to have conversations, and she's only making herself and her outlet look worse. Same with Nick Calandra. He's just making Second Wind look even worse, and there are people that are calling for Second Wind to basically get rid of him. Now, of course, he is one of the co-founders of it, so I don't think that's gonna happen, because clearly a lot of people at the company support him and support his stances and do believe that, you know, Gamergate 1 was a harassment campaign. I bet that they'd say Gamergate 2 was one as well. But yeah, I mean, Kotaku over the past few weeks has been on a roll with proving their hypocrisy, and of course not making any statements about Alyssa, and they clearly back what she's doing and the things that she's saying. So it will be interesting to see if she continues to cope and seethe, and if Nick Calandra continues to cope and seethe, then who their next target is going to be, simply for talking about, you know, video games and simply talking about the activists within the industry. Only time will tell, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.